PJNet.TV. It is 9 p.m. on Wednesday evening on the East Coast, and it is time for PJNet.TV. Our bumper is running. We are recording. We are streaming. We have guests waiting in the green room. We have guests waiting in the chat room. Let's count down to Studio 7. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, good evening and welcome to PJNet.TV. I'm Coach Prasic, and I am excited that you, yes, you, are here. We do have so much fun, and I hope you're watching this from our live chat room at PJNet.TV, but it is possible that you are watching it on Facebook, Twitter, or even YouTube. If you are, we're so glad you joined us. But we also invite you to come join all the fun and family over at PJNet.TV. You can watch the same thing, PJNet.TV. You can watch it there, meet some new people. Speaking of new people, we have some, well, old people coming on. And let me introduce our guests to you, okay? And they are coming from parts all over the world, and that would be over here, over there, Dave McDonald from the great Republic of California, and James Cummings on temporary assignment at a classified location. Together, they are known as EYFpodcast.com. EYF, that's Exercise Your Faith, folks, and that's what it stands for. And great, and they appear on the fourth Wednesday of every month, and we're glad to have you guys. I've been listening to your podcasts with great interest. Your guests just get better and better and better and better. I mean, each guest is even better than the previous one. Who's next?
That would be Coach Mark Brady. Let me bring that up. Shameless plug. I like it.
I set that up so well. That was good. James, the two of you are literally hundreds of miles apart. You've been traveling, but you have some. I hope you've given some thought as to what you're going to talk about tonight, because you didn't tell me.
Yeah, no. Actually, we've discussed it a little bit, and I'll let Dave introduce it because it was on his heart first, and then I'll just add to his story.
Okay, well, I don't know about everybody else, but we've been receiving a lot of questions about whether or not we're going to address via the podcast any of the current events that are going on right now, and that hasn't been my intention. Basically because it's such an angry kind of topic, but I've been having some problems with some of the people in our government, and I've been asked, I've actually, prayed, God, when are you going to shut some of these people down? I mean, Nancy Pelosi, I don't know how she's, made it this far. She's held together with Polygrip and vodka, and yet so. And so I've been, to be completely transparent, I've been praying like, man, when is this person gonna, move on? And I was coming home from a job that I did yesterday, and it, I just kind of had an epiphany that my Christianity had become a noun instead of a verb. And so the point I want to get across tonight is that instead of praying against Nancy, instead of praying against, these different types of groups and people that are out there, we need to pray for them.
Amen.
Can you imagine if Nancy Pelosi suddenly changed her outlook on abortion? Can you imagine what that would do for the country? Can you imagine, the folks at Black Lives Matters, if they change their perspective to a gospel perspective? And yet, though, I think a lot of us are hoping that God's going to take them away or do something in that way, but God loves them too. And that was a real hard realization for me to kind of come to grips with, was that God loves them just as much as he loves me. And so I got to start praying for them instead of praying against them.
You know, and Dave,
Right.
the scriptures record where God used a talking jackass.
Right.
So there's hope for Nancy Pelosi.
Right. Well, I'm glad you were calling her that and not me, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's true.
I think there's hope for all of us, Dave.
Yeah.
Mm.
James, you going to pile on?
Yeah, no, I just, it was funny because, as you said, I have been traveling the last couple of days, and this morning on the radio as we were driving, I heard a message, and they were talking about how the only way true change is going to come is by praying for our leaders and praying for those people who are in those leadership roles. And so when Dave called me and said this was on his heart, I knew that it was something that we had to talk about today because, I mean, like you said, we can have bitter feelings and we can have, strong opinions, but what's that really going to do in the end? We know that God is the only one who can change somebody. And so let's unite in this prayer and let's make the change that we want to see.
Yeah. Imagine if we had 89 million Christians praying that Nancy Pelosi would change her heart, or, Chuck Schumer or, whoever it is. I mean, no matter where it is you fall on the aisle, God's got to start to become first in everybody's eyes and in everybody's life if we want to make change, because you cannot argue with these people on facts. I mean, it's like around on Thanksgiving, and talking to, your extended family. And we all know we all have those people. Heck, I'm probably that person in somebody's mind. You're not going to change my opinion. But when I was driving home yesterday, I had that epiphany. It was like, I've been wasting all my time trying to get these people in my mind, praying for them to stop doing what they're doing, and instead of praying that God would change their hearts.
Well, Dave, let me just ask you point blank. Have you since then literally prayed for Nancy Pelosi, or is this something you plan to do?
Absolutely. I did, and I prayed for all three of those gals who started Black Lives Matters because they're Marxists. And I'm not here to criticize them, but I know that Christ doesn't exist in a Marxist world. But I can only imagine that if Christ existed in their lives like he does in mine, imagine the sea of change that would happen, in not only in that movement, but in our world. Think of the de-escalation that would take place.
James, let me, if I can, change the subject. You and your daughter appeared on Mountain Climbers recently.
Yeah.
That was pretty impressive. You
Yeah.
want to share about that?
Yeah, so it was actually very encouraging. We got an opportunity to share about our struggles with Lyme disease and how it's kind of been intertwined with our faith, and we hope that the message goes out and it encourages other families who are dealing with chronic illness and just lifts them up and is a positive message. We're really, really grateful for Whitney for being able having the opportunity to get on there.
Well, it wasn't just you. Your
Right.
daughter.
Yeah, I know my daughter was on there
There's an
as well.
unusual
and-
pronunciation. Help me. Yanisa. Okay. She did pretty darn good.
Yeah.
She's what, 13?
And it was 13, and it was a big deal for her. She was a little nervous getting on there and having a conversation with another adult, but she did a great job, and I was really proud of her.
You must be. You should, well, Dad. Well, look, James, you would have been proud of her no matter what. Okay, I'm proud of her.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's true.
are you two thinking going back to school when school resumes?
We just got an email today from the district office, and they're evaluating 3 different plans. And one of them is obviously going back full time in the classroom. And then there's a hybrid and then a distance learning only. I would imagine that we'll start off distance learning, and I don't think we'll be back in school till probably January at the earliest, I don't think.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. I don't have it on any good.
Well, yeah, if they've got 3 plans, I bet they'll do all 3. They'll start with
Yeah.
distance, they'll phase
we'll
it
start
in.
with one and they'll move in. Even though there's no kids that can get sick from this thing,
Right.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. You bet. Your podcast is continuing to impress not just me, but impress others. And last time we talked, you were in the process of going to 2 guests per week. So have you depleted your backlog of guest interviews you had recorded?
Not yet. We're actually taking a little bit of time, not off, but time to reevaluate and hopefully make things a little bit even better. We have a Digging Deeper series coming up with Pastor Glenn Curry of Pillars of Faith. He's agreed to come on and help us out with stuff. And we have a few other things too. We've got some marriage stuff that James is working on. I don't know, James, were you able to make contact with that?
Yeah, that'll be hopefully coming up too as part of our new season that's going to be kicking off here in August.
Okay, so your new season is kicking off. Now, the 2 programs you mentioned, one was marriage and the other one was, Dave, you said?
Digging Deeper. Yeah.
Okay. Are these going to be weekly things?
That's the hope. And it's going to be in addition to our guests on Monday. So we're hoping that we can have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then also continue doing our devotionals on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
You know, I've got to, one of the things I do is when I take a break, I used to try to get a nap in the afternoon for about an hour. So I'll turn on, your podcast or something. But I have yet to listen to one of your ministry minutes or what, the little short ones, because, I need something I can hit play and play for 20 minutes. Now I say I listen to your podcast. I listen to the first, 11, 12 minutes of it, I think.
Gotcha.
Sure.
Well, on Monday, you're going to have to really sit down and commit to at least a good 40 minutes.
Well, I've already heard it.
Yeah, but it's different when it's released live to everybody else.
Yeah.
Tell me about the or not only feedback. How are you all feeling? You're into this thing several months now. So when you first go in, you feel one way, and then a month later you feel differently, and then a month later you feel differently. How are you guys feeling about what you're doing? You're making some changes, positive changes, but how's your gut? Do a gut check. How's your attitude?
James, you answer this.
Oh, well, for me, I'm really encouraged. I mean, like Dave said, we've got some really good interviews coming up that are going to be released the next couple Mondays. If you're watching, you got to tune into those. They're just so encouraging. I mean, me and Dave get so much, out of these interviews, just speaking to people. And we know that the next season is going to be just as good because we're adding more content, we're adding more guests. And for me, I'm excited. I'm encouraged. Even though it's summertime and we're kind of winding down the summer side of it, it's really encouraging to know that we're going to come back really strong and have just a great show.
Thank you, Barbara, for putting their website. It's EYFpodcast.com, and you can remember EYF by remembering Exercise Your Faith. Dave, how you feeling? Now, one or both of them is frozen up. I can't tell. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. You're still with me, James. I think I've kind of lost Dave. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to momentarily turn off his camera. Okay.
Okay.
Sometimes we can shake that thing loose. And okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Now, he can't. I don't know if he can hear me or not. But what I got to do is bump him off and hope that he comes back. Okay, because he's frozen. I can tell. Nice look.
Yeah.
Look at but look
Can
at
you
the
hear me,
pose. No, he can't hear you. He is gone. So, all right. Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to, and he's going to want. I hope he'll realize what we just did, and maybe he'll do us the courtesy of coming back. Okay, James, you're on your own, buddy. This is your partner just bailed on you. All right.
Okay, he'll be back. If I know him, he'll be back. So
I bet he will. I hope he will. That's okay. We are at the 15-minute mark. We got about 5 more minutes to go. If you could go back and do something different or do something over along the way, what would it be?
That's a good question. Because I really felt like me and Dave really we really did our homework. We really researched it. We prayed about it. We really tried to do things, in an efficient manner where we weren't jumping out there too quickly and getting ahead of ourselves. So I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know that I'd necessarily go back and do anything differently. I mean, unfortunately, because of the COVID thing, we actually got the time to record the episodes that we had to do. And so, I don't know. I mean, I guess the only thing if I had to pick something, would maybe be a little bit more of a variety in the beginning of it, different topics and so forth. But we're going to get that coming forward in August. So,
does it ever enter your mind that you're going to run out of people and you're going to, have you thought of, has that bothered you at all?
It's entered the back of my mind, and I know Dave worries about it much more than I do.
Really?
But especially when when we went to the two episodes a week, and so we've got okay, we had a backlog, and so we were good. But I don't worry about it. I know there's so many people out there. So many people have a story and they want to share, and so we'll find them.
Well, and in some ways, you have an advantage because you're recording these ahead of time. So when you're doing a live program, they have to be available at a certain date at a certain time. Where if you're recording, you can be more flexible. You can work around their schedule. Where our situation here is very different. But we've been very, very blessed. Everybody has shown up. I don't think we've had it happen yet that somebody just did not show.
Except for Dave disappeared, right?
Well, and he probably doesn't. I assume he know. I wonder if he was using his laptop and didn't have the battery.
Good question.
We can talk about him because he can't hear us. we can make fun of him. Future plans. You're going to add some weekly stuff. So you're thinking Monday, Wednesday, Friday, a longer program, and then the shorter devotionals on Tuesday and Thursday. Is that?
Yeah. We're going to stick with the Monday interviews, and then, like Dave said, Wednesday and Friday we'll have our guests on, and hopefully they'll become regular guests, and we'll do some topic-based stuff, like Dave said, concerning marriage, and then Pastor Glenn Curry is going to do some Bible topics, so we're excited about that too.
Okay, good. How many are in the bag right now that you haven't aired?
I think we're good through July. So,
yeah,
we're good for now.
Yeah. Yeah, you are. You could take some time off, brother.
Right, yeah. Much needed.
Is it classified information who some of those future guests are?
You're gonna have to tune in. I'm gonna. I don't know what they call it, a tease, right? I'm gonna tease you guys. You're gonna have to check in. But there's some bigger names, and then there's just some average folks like me and you that are just got some amazing stories. So you got to tune in.
All right. Well, that'll work. When school, let's suppose that school starts again. Given how many hours a week are you devoting to this? Let's say that school came back in full swing. Yeah. Where are you going to find the time to do this?
Yeah, that's a good question. And obviously we'll know more once we're into it, but it's going to require some homework, so to speak, some after school hours. And like you said, the further we can get ahead in recording, the better. And so that way we're not as pressured to get stuff done.
Well, yes and no, because sometimes the topic matter is contemporaneous, and
True.
It's very relevant at the time you record it. And then when you air it later on, you think, "Oh, yeah, we did talk about that. That was debunked, as it turns out. That wasn't."
Yeah, that's true. That's the one thing. And it's the same thing with our interviews. With our interviews, we're like, "Oh yeah, we had forgotten we even interviewed somebody. It had been so long." And so, there's the drawback, for sure.
Well, it works, and
yeah.
Well, I don't know where do you see things. And I'm not asking for analytics here, but given the growth that you've had already, and you sort of extrapolate that into the future, where would you be next January? Where would you be Wednesday? What can you do with a bigger audience?
Well, that's, honestly, that's what we're praying about. And, God knows that when we're ready for that, then it's just going to continue to grow. I mean, the one thing that me and Dave are really encouraged about is that we've got listeners all over the world. I mean, I think we've talked about this a little bit before, but we've got people in Iran, we've got people in Canada, like all over the map when we look at it. And we're just really encouraged by that. I just feel blessed that, people are listening in other locations. And so, yeah, the hope is that our audience will grow and that they'll enjoy what we're talking about.
I failed to mention Michelle Medlock Adams is our guest in about 9 minutes, but she also was on your program Monday, and
Yes.
It's always good to hear her voice because she is a ball of fire. I mean, she's not too hard to interview. You just sort of crank it up and then
Exactly. Yeah. No, when me and Dave were talking about that, like just speaking to her, you're so encouraged. Her faith is just like, it's just uplifting. And like, I hope everybody, if you haven't listened to that interview, go back and listen to that. That is just like so uplifting.
Yeah, it is. So, all right. Well, James, let Dave know that we appreciate him coming in for a little while, dropping in. I don't know what he had to do that was better than this, but nonetheless, I hope he's enjoying it.
But I'll let him know for sure.
James, I appreciate what you two are doing for the kingdom. I appreciate the way that you're doing it. And I appreciate you sharing with us here on pjnet.tv the things that are going on because you all are both an encouragement to me, and doggone it, I'm proud of you. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. We're just thankful that we get a chance to be on and love the show. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, bud. All right. Well, there was the other half of the Exercise Your Faith podcast.com. That was James Cummings and his partner, Dave McDonald, while he was here. Now, look, I got to go because in just a few minutes, Michelle Medlock Adams is coming our way. As she does, before I leave, I need to ask you to ask yourself 2 questions. Number 1, what's the boldest thing you've ever done for Christ? 2, when was that? You see, as we reflect upon those 2 questions, I hope that we will challenge ourselves to never be satisfied with either answer.